What's going on YouTube? So the Genesis brand has been taking the luxury market by storm with a very bold and competitive lineup. The GV70 in particular has really caught the eyes of many consumers with a very athletic design and beautifully well executed cabin. So what changes has Genesis made to this award-winning crossover for 2023? Let's go ahead and find out. Alrighty, so let's get things started here by taking a look at the exterior design. Now this is one of my favorite things about this GV70 because it really looks eye-catching when you first walk up to it. Compared to the GV80, it has a more athletic design, and thankfully Genesis has not messed with this look for the 2023 model year. So up in the front, you'll continue to find that signature Genesis grille. When you choose to have one of the sport models, like what we have today with the Sport Prestige, that's going to black out the fascia. It is also going to give you a more aggressive lower fascia as well. And then coming over here to our headlights. These have become a very signature element for the Genesis brand, and they're really unlike anything else you see on the market because we have the quad beam LED headlights, which are split into two clusters, as you can tell. You've got your dual daytime running light and turn signal indicator, and then your 4 crystals for the headlights themselves. There are no fog lamps on any of the models. Now another bold part of the exterior design are your wheel options. So you're going to start off with an 18-inch alloy wheel. You do have a 19-inch options as well. However, when you go up to the Sport Prestige models, that's where you'll get these exclusive 21-inch alloy wheels. Now I know this can be a little bit controversial in its design with these kind of pucks that go throughout, kind of making it look a little bit like a tennis ball, or a golf ball. Tennis ball. Golf ball is what I was trying to say. These kind of divots that remind you of a golf ball, but overall I think they look really, really nice, and the distance between the spokes does show off your brake calipers. As you can see, this has a black finish on this model with Genesis branding, and new for 2023 is the fact that you have matching brake calipers in the rear, where previously they didn't have this finish for them. Now as we move up here to our mirrors, you're going to have standard heating as well as standard blind spot monitoring. And if you choose anything but the base model, that's where you're going to get your power folding abilities as well as auto dimming and the Genesis projection on the ground.
All right, guys, now that we're at the side of the GV70, I want to point out we have a very beautiful silhouette, and that's because this vehicle is riding on a rear-wheel drive architecture, unlike a lot of the rivals like the Audi Q5, Lexus NX, and Acura RDX. So it definitely does have that rear drive proportion of the long glow hood and then coming back to the rear. Now, as far as some of the individual design elements I want to point out. Obviously, we have some smoked chrome going on our door handles as well as our window surrounds, and we also have this unique piece that kind of swoops down and heads into the rear. We also do have a blacked out roof rail. And I did almost forget to mention the length. We're looking at 185.6 inches for the overall length. Now, working our way around to the rear design of the GV70, we do have a beautiful design. That's not really going to change for 2023, but honestly, if Car Confections gave out design awards for the best looking SUV, I think this GV70 might be it. It is beautiful, especially here in person. Now, as far as some of the design elements, we do have a large spoiler up at the very top. We have an integrated rear wiper. Genesis is cleanly spelled out across the back, and that's going to basically take us to our taillights. Our taillights are going to be full LED. As you can see, they have a very similar design to the headlights in the front, which gives it a nice cohesive look. And then dropping down to the lower area, you will have the reverse light integrated somewhere in this bumper. I don't know if I can find it. I think it might be right here. And that's also going to be LED. But as far as the diffuser area itself, we do have a very aggressive diffuser, and that's because we have the Sport model. The Sport model is going to make things a little bit more aggressive back here. It's also going to give you the dual circle integrated exhaust outlets. Otherwise, they would be square. Now, you're probably also noticing that we do have a tow hitch. I don't have the exact tow figure. I will go ahead and research that and find that number out for you. But as you can see, you can get a tow hitch installed. Now, as far as your warranty and safety information, you're going to be very impressed at what this GV70 has to offer. So I'll start with the safety information first. They're including every single one of their safety systems as standard equipment on every single model. So that's going to be forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, auto high beams, as well as adaptive cruise control with their highway driving assist. Now, as far as your warranty, you're also going to be impressed with this because it's going to be a lot better than some of the German rivals. 5-year, 60,000-mile basic warranty, 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and Genesis is also including 3 years and 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance with a pickup and drop-off service. But guys, this is a beautiful looking SUV on the outside. Now let's go ahead and check out the beautiful cabin before we take it out for a spin.
So as you walk up to the GV70, it will center your approach and go ahead and fold the mirror out. And of course, you will have a standard smart entry system with the brand's typical key fob. Now, as you can tell, there's a lot of buttons on the fob. One of them is for your dedicated remote start. That's also standard. We also have the smart parking system where you can pull into and out of parking spots. That's going to be included on advanced and prestige trim level models. And then finally, you do get digital key on most of the models. Now there's a quick look at the cabin as a whole. It remains very beautiful as you can see, but we'll go ahead and get inside and check out all the details. Now to start things off, let's go ahead and talk about our material and color options. Now there are an absolute ton of options when it comes to this GV70. So I'm not going to go through everything because you'd be very overwhelmed. But just be aware you can get a lot of different materials and a lot of different colors, including even things like a green option as well as brown. And as you can see on this model, we do have a very red interior for the finish. This is the 2.5 Sport Prestige, so we have real leather on the outside edge and then a mesh insert in the center. If you go for the 3.5 Sport Prestige, that will substitute in this kind of mesh material for a suede instead. Now turning over here to the seat adjustments themselves, you will have a standard 12-way power adjusting seat. However, since we have the Prestige model, that's going to give you a 16-way power adjusting seat with adjustable bolsters, power thigh extension, as well as power massage. But let's go ahead and look around this cabin and check out the materials because this cabin continues to wow. So over here on our door trim, the entire thing is going to be covered with leather from the top to the bottom. So we have lots of red leather all through here. We've got this giant chunk of genuine textured aluminum, which looks and feels very nice. You have leather running across the entire top, like I mentioned, with the stitching detail. And of course, all 4 of your windows will be one-touch automatic with a nice knurled buttons. You also have 2-person memory seating as well. Now going up to the upper dashboard, this is all finished again in leather with stitching detail. Coming down, you have the color-matched red leather all through the center. And that leather will continue down to all your lower elements, and you'll find another big chunk here of that nice aluminum trim. And everything in here does fit together very nicely, and the design is a very expressive design that looks very different from its German competition. Anyways, let's go ahead and start it up. Before I do that, though, I do want to point out that you have a fingerprint reader built into the vehicle, which can be used to start up the car and also sync driver settings. Now, if you're familiar with the GV70 lineup and how the equipment was arranged previously, you'll notice that this is a change for 2023. That's the fact that we've got the 2.5T Sport Prestige model, yet we've got the 12.3-inch digital 3D gauges this year. So previously you did have that split design, which the other trim levels will continue to get. It's going to be half digital and half analog. But, like I said, if you get a Sport Prestige model, now with both engines, you're going to get this 3D arrangement. Now, it might be a little hard to see on camera, but like I said, it is three-dimensional, so certain elements will actually pop out at you. It's a really neat effect. Now, as far as a head-up display, that will continue to be on the 3.5 Sport Prestige. And then if you choose the advanced trim level or above, that's going to get you this blind spot camera system. Now, pulling back to the steering wheel, we have a beautiful design, lovely leather all around it, including on the airbag cover. Those that are very observant will also notice another 2023 change here, and that's the fact that Genesis has actually gotten rid of the touch capacitive digital buttons, and we've gone to just a more traditional style button, which I'm totally fine with. It'll make it a little bit easier to use, and you won't have fingerprints on it. And then down below, you do have your power adjusting steering wheel, and it is heated as well. But let's keep this train rolling and check out the storage. So open up the center console here. As you can see, we've got a nicely sized bin. This little tray can be removed, and the entire thing is going to be felt lined top, bottom, and sides. Got a 12-volt outlet inside. And then let's see how the coupons fit. Look at that, lots of space. They even fit in there with the little tray still in place. Now up in front of that, you got your 2 cup holders. And if you click that open, you have a large cavity that is your wireless phone charging pad, which is standard on every single version of the GV70, and that's also where you'll find your 2 USB ports. Let's pull back here to the shifter. This is one of my favorite elements of the cabin because it is absolutely lovely. It is made of the knurled metal as well as glass, and ambient lighting is inside of this as well, so it looks really, really cool at night. Of course, you're just going to twist it to D for drive. You do have paddle shifters on board. And then go the opposite way to head into reverse. Now, once you get into reverse, the 360-degree surround view camera will be included with both engines on the advanced trim level and above. As you can see, the resolution is very clear. And then everyone's favorite feature is press that button and we go into the full 3D view. So you can just swipe all around the vehicle in a full 3-dimensional view, and it looks really, really good. Then, of course, for park, just press the P. Your electronic parking brake is located on the opposite side of the steering wheel. Now, up in front of that, you do have your dial, which can control the infotainment system if you don't want to touch it. And then we also have our audio controls. So as far as your sound systems, you do have a standard 9-speaker sound system. However, most of the models are going to come with the 16-speaker Lexicon premium sound system. That is what we have today, so let's go ahead and give it a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality of this system is excellent, just as I remember it being. Really fills up the cabin well. Okay, so let's turn our attention to the center of the dashboard, which will be dedicated to our climate controls. So you have a standard dual-zone climate control setup. However, we've got the 3-zone automatic climate control setup, which is now included on the Sport Prestige model no matter which engine you choose. So it is new to the 2.5T Sport Prestige. As you can see, it is going to be part physical and part digital, so you can twist these real knobs to adjust your temperature, but if you want to make some adjustments to your fan speeds, your automatic zones, or your heated and ventilated seats, that's going to be inside of this small touch screen that you have on board. Heated seats are going to be included as standard on every model, ventilated seats on the select trim and above. Now, a nice feature that's included on every version of the GV70 is this display. So as you can tell, very large display. It's going to be 14.5 inches, and it's really a long display. It goes all the way across the dashboard, as you can see with this orientation. As far as the features you have on board, you do have the latest Genesis software. You've got a built-in navigation system, which can take up the entire display, as you can see. And you also have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities, though I will point out they are not wireless, so you will have to plug your phone in to access them. Now moving above here, we do have an auto-dimming mirror, 3 HomeLink universal remotes built into it. And then up top, We've got a panoramic sunroof. This is going to be included on all but the base model. And as you can see, the front panel does open up. And then one very, very tiny 2023 change I want to point out. The SOS button is now red.
All right, guys, come on back here and sit with me in the GV70's rear seat. Now, obviously, you can tell just by looking around, this is a very luxurious place to spend time because there's a lot of luxury elements and also quite a bit of space as well. We're looking at 37.2 inches of legroom. We actually do not have a headroom figure, but as you can see, for a 5'9" adult like myself, there is plenty of space between my head and the ceiling. I don't imagine unless you're like 6'5", you're going to have any issues in terms of the space. Now, it's only a little bit smaller than the GV80, and it is going to be right on par with that of its main rivals. Now, as far as the features, let's go ahead and check those out. So here in the center, we do have these really nice vents. They're going to have a very nice premium feel to them. That's going to be standard on every single model, as you would expect. Dropping below that, though, you will notice that we have our own zone of climate back here. So that's actually a new feature for 2023. The Sport Prestige 2.5 Turbo gets the rear climate controls. That used to not be standard on that model. Now, if we drop below that, we have two USB Type-A charging ports, and we also have a household-style outlet in addition to that. Now, we can also fold down the center armrest. That has two cup holders inside of that. And then let's turn to your door trim. Your door trim is going to be super nicely finished. So at the very top, we do have rear window sunshades. That's going to be a nice feature that they have included. And really everything on this door trim is leather wrapped. You have the very nicely leather wrapped upper part, you have a leather wrapped center part, and a leather wrapped armrest portion. So this is just going to be a very beautiful door trim, and we do even have padding on the lower molding, and we're going to have bottle storage down the very bottom. Now, walking up to the tailgate area of the GV70, we do have a standard hands-free power one. It's the setup if you just walk up, it beeps a few times and goes ahead and opens, or you can actually locate the hidden button on the windshield wiper, so that will go ahead and pop open the cargo area. Now, as far as the space itself is concerned, back here we're actually going to have a larger space than you would find in a X3 or Mercedes GLC, 28.9 cubic feet of cargo capacity behind the second row seats. If we fold those down, we're looking at about 56 cubic feet of maximum capacity, which is a good amount for the segment. Like I said, it does best those main two rivals. And as far as how Genesis has finished it back here, we do have some really nice finishings. So we have a nicely carpeted floor. If we pop that open, we have a little bit of additional storage. I'm really not sure what this is for, but we do also have a spare tire up underneath of that. And then off to the side, we have some LED illumination, and you're also going to notice that we have these handles. These handles will fold the seats, so as you can see, real nice and easy to fold the seats from the cargo department. As you can see, they do fold 60-40 split. Some of the Germans do give you the 40-20-40 split folding rear seats, but overall, it makes a nice flat loading floor for anything you're going to be hauling in this GV70. Now, as far as your passenger seat, you are going to be missing out on just a few adjustments from the driver's seat, and you're also not going to have massaging abilities on this seat, but it's still very highly adjustable, and we do even have four-way power lumbar support. If we pop open the glove box, one thing I want to point out before I even open it is that the glove box is leather wrapped. Very bougie. Most cars in this segment do not give you a luxury touch like that. Now, as far as the glove box itself, it is going to be nicely finished. We have some felt lining inside, LED illumination, and you know what time it is. It's time for our coupons. Let's do Wing Zone. Bone-in wings are only $1.09 each. That's a pretty good deal, guys. Or you can get 20 bones for $15, so bulk discount for the wings. And then up top, we have a sun visor. You have a large mirror, LED illumination, and we can also detach it and extend it out.
There we are, 60 miles per hour in the 2.5T version of the GV70. So even if you don't go for that top trim level with the top engine option, you still have really plenty of power for the average person. So this is going to be a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. You're going to have 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. Like I said, plenty of power for this category of vehicle. Plenty of torque as well. That really kind of pushes you back in the seat when you first get off the line.
Yeah, this is certainly a very stout motor. Now, of course, you probably know that they do offer a more upgraded option. In case you're really wanting that optimal level of performance, you can get a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6, 375 horsepower, 391 pound-feet of torque. That is obviously very, very powerful. We've sampled that out actually twice in this GV70. This is our first time in the 2.5 turbo model, and obviously that is just incredibly quick. It's not even really competing against Audi Q5 anymore. It's more like the SQ5 and BMW X3 M40i models. That's like the more performance-oriented side of things, for sure.
Right, and like Mason said, if you want a picture of what that performance is like, go on to our channel and you can check that out.
And 0 to 60 for that model is 5.4 seconds. Nice.
Yeah, and the other thing I really like about this engine is just that it's nice and smooth, has a decent sound to it as well, so you're not really being, penalized a bunch for going with the 4-cylinder option if that's something you were concerned about. Let's also talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. That would be our 8-speed automatic transmission. It's a really good transmission. As you can see, when you're driving aggressively, it does shift out very smoothly, but also when you're driving more like a normal person, again, it's going to be very smooth, and you put your foot down, you do get nice response, good and quickly, even in the normal mode, which we're driving around in right now.
Yeah. And while we're up to speed, I do want to go ahead and get a sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. .7 is my minimum reading. That is very, very solid. I think that it tests right in line with what you get out of an Audi Q5, Mercedes-Benz GLC. I think they're all testing around that 55 mark. So you're going to have a very quiet cabin in this GV70. And I do want to talk about your ride quality. So as you can tell throughout this video, we have the 2.5 model. We also have the larger 21-inch alloy wheels since we have the Sport Prestige. So theoretically, this might actually have the worst ride quality in the entire GV70 lineup because the 3.5T models are actually going to get you an adaptive suspension. So that should help smooth out the ride quality a little bit. And we actually did sample that several times last year. We had it for a week-long loan, and I do think the ride quality is a little bit better. That said, this model right here is not bad at all. This has very good ride quality. We've hit some of the bumps. It's definitely within the acceptable range. It's probably not the best in the entire segment if you go for this particular model as tested with the 21-inch alloy wheels and no adaptive suspension, but it's certainly in luxury territory, I think.
For sure, and just keep in mind, when you're picking which version you want, this version is the Sport Prestige, so you are opting to have the sportier tune versus the other models, which would be a little bit more luxury oriented with smaller wheels and larger tires as well. But speaking of sport, one of the nice things about this is a real handler. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate that too much, on this road through a subdivision, but like we had mentioned, we tested this out for a week previously, and when you take this out on a back road, you can really have a lot of fun. Genesis has really gone kind of the German route by giving you a lot of athleticism built into a crossover that for the most part will be used for family purposes, but when you take it out on a back road, you can really have some fun, and I appreciate that. And that was our auto start-stop system activating a couple times. Very nice and smooth. They've done a good job with this. I imagine it wouldn't be something you would want to turn off, but Genesis does give you the ability to do that with the button right over here.
It is worth noting, no mild hybrid on the GV70, unlike some of the German rivals now have. Now, as far as the drivetrain, you have standard all-wheel drive on every single GV70 model. For the Sport Prestige, you're going to have torque vectoring all-wheel drive. And as far as the fuel economy is concerned, for the 2.5T, you're looking at 22, 28, 24 miles a gallon combined. Now do keep in mind it depends on the trim level. Sometimes that combined rating will go down a little bit depending on which trim level you choose. And for the 3.5 liter twin turbo model, that's going to be 21 miles a gallon combined. So a 3 mpg penalty for getting the V6 option.
Alrighty, so now it's time for us to get into today's Slam Dunk and Airball. I'll start off with the Slam Dunk. There's really a lot of choices that we have. But I really think what captures my attention first, and is a big part when you're buying a luxury vehicle, and that's the exterior design. This is a really, really good looking luxury crossover. It looks both sporty and luxurious, and almost exotic when you have something like the matte paint that we have called Matterhorn White.
I think
so
we're pronouncing that right.
That's
what it looks like.
That's an interesting name, but it's a matte white, and they do also have matte gray options. You have a lot of expressive interior color choices, which
Beautiful
I mentioned, red, green, blue. It's really, really just a great all-around luxury design that I really like.
Yeah, now in terms of our Airball, obviously it's kind of hard to find an Airball when you have a great luxury SUV like this. That said, we've never been in a 2.5T Sport Prestige, and I am not a fan of these scratchy seat inserts. What do they call these?
It's a mesh.
Mesh. Yeah, it feels like office chair mesh, and it's kind of scratchy, and you get stuck in it, and it's kind of weird. So it doesn't feel very premium to me. So I would get another trim level, or if I'm going to get the Sport Prestige, get the 3.5T with the suede inserts. Alright, and let's go ahead and talk about the pricing for the 2023 GV70. So the standard model with the 2.5 turbo is going to start at $42,900. Select is $46,650. Advanced, $51,550. Sport Prestige, $55,700. Now do keep in mind, if you get the V6, it's going to cost a little bit more money for that model. Now, this particular tester does have a few other options on top of that, including the optional paint color for $1,500. And when we add in the destination charge of $1,095, we're looking at $58,890 as tested.
Now, last year we did a video ranking luxury crossovers in the compact segment, and I believe this was our #1 choice. And spending another day with a different version of it, it's still easy to see why. This is a luxury crossover with a lot of strengths in terms of both luxury, sport, and utility. So if you're looking for a vehicle in this class, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't give the GV70 a look.
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us on our in-depth review of the 2023 beautiful Genesis GV70 Sport Prestige. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we surely would appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, if you followed us on TikTok and Instagram, and we do even have a merch store. You like what you see here, you can go purchase it and support the channel that way. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.